All right, so we're going to start with a blank project, making sure that it is 44.1 kilohertz sample rate and 24-bit. Then we're going to set the tempo to 95 BPM. So I'm just going to pull that down till we get 95. Obviously, do that however you do in your DAW. Now, there will be some completely free plugins and instruments to install, but we're going to deal with each one as we progress through the course. And we're going to build this track as I made it the first time. So I'll discuss more about the creative process as we progress through the course. And as is fairly standard with my particular sort of method, I start with making a beat. So I've got a rhythm to then create a bassline pattern. Now, of course, if you've got a bassline in mind or you've got a pattern, then you can just activate the metronome or just chuck in any old hat pattern or something just to get a beat so you can get a melody down. But after I've been listening to a load of Cyberpunk tracks to sort of get inspiration, the thing that really sung to me with those tracks, as it is with most tunes, to be fair, is the chorus section. So I wanted to work on the chorus theme first, get that nailed, as that is a big part of what makes or breaks the tune. Now, it doesn't have to be the complete finished chorus, but the sort of bare bones of it, or enough of it to get the energy there that you can think, okay, yes, this is actually a really good idea and I want to work on it. So as mentioned at the time, I just kind of threw in any old kick and snare, but obviously we're going to use the final kick and snare that I used for the track. So navigate to wherever the downloaded and uncompressed tutorial files are on your computer. So I got mine here, BTP Cyberpunk tutorial work files, and you're in the audio folder. If you're watching this on YouTube, there is a link in the description to download the free work files so you can follow along with the first 4 lessons. So in the audio folder, we want the kick. Now I'm going to load this onto a sampler track. Now many DAWs like FL Studio and Ableton kind of work like this as default, so you don't actually have to specify you're loading it onto a sampler track. But you're doing Cubase, so I'm just mentioning that. And if you want, you can actually just simply use these as audio samples if you prefer to work with audio rather than use the sampler. All right, so I'm just going to load that in. Probably easier if you do use a sampler, just because that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to draw in a blank MIDI segment just over the first bar there. And we're starting at bar 5 for this. And it's kind of important that you start the same so we don't get lost throughout the rest of the tutorial. Now, before I do anything else, I'm actually going to turn this down. Now, this is kind of like a cheap way of gain staging. So I'm just going to grab the volume fader and turn this down to like -7 or so. Now, you can do this by using the pre-gain if you have that in your DAW. In Cubase, it's in the channel settings, and then you go to gain and you can turn it down there, which means you retain the full range of the volume fader. I've never actually found it a problem, so I just use the volume fader to turn it down, but you can do that if you want. All right, so let's turn down. Let's go into the MIDI, and on C3, I'm just going to draw in 1 note and then 1 on the 3rd beat. So that's the pattern so far. No problem. Copy that across. So it's over the 4 bars. Now let's load in the snare. So the same thing, just go find the snare in the work files. I'm going to load that onto a sampler track. I'm also going to turn that down anywhere like -7 or so. Just a note with the kick as well. So now we've turned down the kick. Basically everything that we bring into this project from now on, we're going to volume balance against the kick. So we're going to try not to change the level of the kick throughout the entire music production process, or at least till the very end, then we can start to adjust it. But that's just to keep everything at a nice low volume so we don't get any overloaded channels in our mix. All right, so again, let's just draw in a blank segment. Now this is just going to go in the opposite way. So on the 2nd and 4th beats, we're going to have the snare. So we've just got a super basic pattern. Okay, and then copy that across so we've got a full 4 bars. So that's our super simple beat, and that actually remains that way for pretty much the whole of the track, although of course we add more drums and stuff, which makes it sound more complex, and we add in loads of little fills and stuff. But for now, that's absolutely fine and enough to get our bass line down, which we're going to do in the next lesson. But for that, we're going to need to install a free synthesizer called Vital. For those of you who don't have Vital, it is one of the best synths available, and it is totally free. I use it all the time in pretty much any project I work on. So if you already have Vital installed, you can skip on to the next lesson, but please be aware you do need Vital 1.5.5 or higher to be able to open the presets in this project. So please check which version you have and download the latest version if you need to. So just Google Vital Synth and it should be the first organic link that pops up. So jump in there, scroll down, and then you will get to the Get Vitals section. So you can choose to pay for it if you want, and you will get extra presets and a couple of other little bonuses, but the actual synthesizer itself is completely free if you want that, so just click on the version that you want. You'll then need to create an account to continue, so go ahead and do that. And then once you've logged in, you will find under your products, Vital Pro Early Access, at least that's what it's called at the moment, but this is version 1.5.5, and again, you need at least that version or higher to be able to open up the presets from this project. So obviously just download the version which is correct for you. Then when it's downloaded, obviously accept, and you can choose which you want to install. I only ever install the VST3 version because it basically just does it. It will choose the correct folder, at least it should, and that will be Program Files, Common Files, VST3. Then just click Next and install. Once it's installed, just restart your DAW or do a scan for presets, and you should be able to find it. So that's it for this lesson. In the next lesson, like I said, we will get on with making the bass line. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.